Now on to our show with your host, Peter Mingils.
Hello, everyone. Peter Mingils here. You're listening to us on Building Fortunes Radio. It's still www.buildingfortunesradio.com. It's been that way since the beginning part of 2013, tail end of 2012, where I started Building Fortunes Radio to be a platform where entrepreneurs could learn how to be entrepreneurs. So a while back, a gentleman friend of ours who was a stranger initially, that's the way it usually starts. People start off as total strangers. His name was, and still is, Ollie Cantos. Ollie called me up, and he was telling me a little bit about what he was doing. He was an attorney over in Washington, D.C., and he had mentioned that he was building a home-based business, and he was blind, and I found that was interesting. And then he told me he was also a dad, adopted 3 boys, triplets. I said, wow, holy cow, 16 years old they were at that time. I said, hopefully you're making a ton of money, because 3 16-year-old boys can each add a house and home. So we talked about those types of issues and stuff, and the boys started home-based businesses, and they kind of dabbled around with that, learning the ins and outs of the home-based business arena, and then they joined a newer home-based business because the older one is a good company, but it just wasn't the right company for their situation. And as they started building this new home-based business based on it was a zigzag kind of a pattern. They really weren't looking originally, but because of the product works so well with Leo and some other issues, Leo's one of the boys, it sparked everybody in the family to really take a look at this. And they've been building a profitable network marketing company based on, of course, recruiting a sales force, but selling retail products for at least a year now. And Nick is here. Ollie has been in California. Nick is the oldest of the 3 boys by a few hours, and is a third-year college student in his second semester of his third year, and has been learning how to build this home-based business at different levels, starting off with, just like everybody else does, they start using the product and selling the product, and now they're actually expanding their business, where they're going from straight 1099ers, meaning that they get paid when they sell product and recruit people and stuff like that, to now becoming employers as they start to expand their business and leverage their profits and their activities through the employment of other people. So we're going to learn a little bit about that and a few other things that we'll sprinkle in on Building Fortunes Radio. So, Nick, thanks for being here on your own radio show.
Thank you very much for having me here. It's always fun to be here. I've been doing this show for 5 years, and it's just always fun. So it's always enjoyable.
Excellent. So you're a college student, third year. Your first 2 years were what we would consider normal, and then COVID hit, and you were a participant. You were an active participant in the COVID virus, meaning you got it, you were hospitalized. So you've been there, done that, but also you've been a college student, both locked in a room as well as going to school and seeing the transition and the change and the pivots that are happening all over the place. We're going to talk a little bit about that, plus what's happening in the economy as things are sticking around or changing. And I'll kind of open it up to you, Nick, to wherever you want to talk about. When we first started talking, you wanted to kind of say, this is where we started in our home-based business, and now this is where we're evolving, and it's a work in progress. So over to you.
Well, yeah, actually, so when I first started, as Peter said, I started this business stuff, this home-based business stuff when I was 16. So I was 16 years old. I had no experience. I mean, I just, I knew I wanted to do something for myself at some point. I just didn't know when I wanted to do it. So I started when I was 16. And because my dad told me, we had a conversation, and he explained, this is really fun, really cool. You can actually make money doing stuff that you can sell stuff that people would want to have, and it's awesome. But he said it's not easy either. It's not going to be the easiest process, but it's going to be worth it. And I knew I wanted to do something that was having that job is okay. It's great. It's not just okay. I kind of need it for my paying for college, but I just want to have something that's mine, And so I figured, well, this sounds awesome. I mean, I really want to do this stuff. So he's like, well, if you're gonna make it your own, you've got to spend your own money to do it. So what I did was I had my dad withdraw my first ever investment in business. I had him withdraw it from my bank account, and I spent the money, and there we go. That's how it started. And I was terrified at first because I had no clue what I was doing. Still don't really fully, but I'm 21 years old, so it's a little bit easier. But we did everything from going on the streets and selling products to me going to high school, getting shut down there. I don't know why I got shut down there, but I don't know. I learned a lot of stuff through it, and long story short, we were able to find a company for us that where we knew we could promote their products, and so because it works for us, and it was just good. So we decided, well, why not invest in this? And so we did. Now we're doing very well. We are now part of the statistically 1% that make it, at least in terms of actually making profits. So it's a pretty big deal because it's not easy to get to because it takes years of learning and practice, and you have to be able to do all this stuff. But we're able now. The fact that we're able to do what we're able to do now is incredible, and it's just awesome because heck, we're creating, even if it's one job, we're still creating a job, which means it affects the economy in some way. So it's, even if it's in a minuscule way, that's just a start. That's what I hope for me. I want to do some stuff with it. I have some goals, but it's just awesome. I just enjoy this business stuff.
Excellent. So I don't know if you want to talk about the nature of the product or the services, but you guys are doing well with company that has a consumable product. It's health related. There's actually two of them, so you're kind of like working with both. And one
actually,
of the products.
Just one now.
Oh, just one? Okay. Which one are you working on? The just one?
Yeah.
Okay, good. So that's a company that's been around for a long time. I know some of the leading distributors. They have a great product line. They have a great reputation, a super aggressive compensation plan. So that's all good stuff. So in reference to this, do you want to talk a little bit about how you guys are planning on, and I know it's still a work in progress, but how you're planning on building your business by employing, almost in a traditional sense, the work of other people?
Well, okay, so we tried. Let me just get to why we're doing this. So, being blind for us is, first off, generally not a big deal. We could handle it all right. We've been trained to deal with it, and it's fine. It's not even that hard right now. We were kids, it was crazy, but now it's not. But we needed help because we wanted to build this thing online. The problem was we didn't have any real, we had content and everything, but we didn't have any real system, and we needed to build a system so that we could start doing this fully online because the internet is the future. It is. It's not even. There's no question that you could reach a lot more people with the internet than you ever could doing word of mouth. That's just how it is. And so we're just trying to make it in a way where we can build our brands and make ourselves a brand so that we can actually start, marketing these products online in a way that is more traditional, but we know what we're selling that is not necessarily traditional. But we want to do something in a way that is more the people understand. People will get it, and it's not like we're it's not like the old ways of the text messaging and all that stuff. No, those are. It can work, but it's more. There's a reason why we don't have a good reputation in terms of the industry that we're part of. That's just how it is. And we can't deny that we have a reputation like we do is lying to ourselves. So we need to change that. One of the ways we need to change that is doing real marketing, like actual market research and all this other stuff that's gonna be like, well, if we have a target market and then we can and if we have like good real content that is not just about our products, then it's more traditional. It's more people understand it, and we're not just blasting product.
Right. So, for our Building Fortunes radio listening audience, some of whom may be kind of new or first-time listeners, Nick, Stephen, Leo are the boys. They're triplets, and they're now 21. Ollie is dad, and Ollie's a gentleman who's an attorney over in Washington, D.C., but because of COVID, he's kind of working out of California for now. The whole family is blind, and that makes it kind of challenging, let's face it, on an internet market where it's a lot easier if you could whip around and you could see stuff. So that's why one of the reasons why they're employing somebody to be able to help them and use their eyes, if you will, and your guys' levels of expertise and your ability to be able to use some of the profits from your growing business to be able to effectively become more well-known online to build your brand. There's a lot of people that are looking to make money working online and trying to figure out different and various ways to be able to do that. And because of COVID, there's a lot of people that are figuring out new ways to be able to do that, and certainly in groups. So, Nick, there's been a couple of things. I'll let you comment on that. Well, I'll let you comment on that first, and then, modify anything that I just mentioned. Then we'll talk a little bit about different ways that people are trying to figure out money in a COVID environment.
It's insane what's going on. I keep some level of tracking on the way that the internet's affected with COVID. There's a lot that's changed. People really do collaborations now. It's insane how many people are using it. I don't know what to say at this point because I've never seen like in my school. Okay, let me just give you an example. In my school, it's like everybody is starting businesses now. There's like every day there's at least one post on the app, which is called the Night app. It's like our school's message board, and there's at least one post that says that where someone is starting a new business and they're selling stuff, and it's like, wow, what is going on here? Because years ago you wouldn't see this. Years ago people wouldn't necessarily be starting businesses. Nowadays it's like they're just popping up everywhere. It's like a business epidemic or something, and it's great. It's awesome. I love that. Entrepreneurship is great, but it's gonna create a very interesting market, I guess, in certain niches, and it's gonna make a larger impact on the economy because the more entrepreneurs you have, well, if they become successful especially if they're more traditional, well, that means more jobs are made, and by younger people, which means more years. They have more years to actually build themselves some very large empires that where people can actually make real worldwide impacts. You just don't know who the next Mark Zuckerberg is, and then it's just insane what people do. I don't know how else to put it.
All right, good stuff. Well, we have your dad, Mr. Ollie Cantos, who seems to be joining us right now. So we're going to say hello to Ollie, and then we're going to just take a quick commercial break after we say hello. Mr. Ollie Cantos, Nick is here. And then after the commercial break, we'll let Ollie kind of take over and talk about whatever he wants to introduce as well. So here we go on our commercial break.
Thanks for listening to Building Fortunes Radio. If you sell a product or service, then you should check out PM Marketing's NetworkLeads.com. Just visit www.networkleads.com. For over 18 years, PM Marketing has helped distributors build their home-based businesses through lead generation, website development, automated email delivery systems, and sales training. If you're looking for a way to increase your skills and increase the number of people that see your product or opportunity, NetworkLeads.com can help. To learn more, visit www.networkleads.com. Ask about their lead management system, capture pages, personalized website, MLM training, Humongous Blogs, the Humongous Classified Ad Network, Building Fortunes Radio, or their webinar schedule. Networkleads.com can be your one-stop shop for everything you need. And now, back to our show.
And we are back with Peter Mingils, that's me, and then Nick Cantos, and then Ollie Cantos. So, Ollie Cantos, thanks for joining us on your own radio show.
Thank you, Peter, and I really appreciate Nick, as always, for all the substance that he adds. Things are so hopping. It's one thing to the next, to the next, to the next. It's insane. So today, I wanted to talk about connecting the dots. So frequently, there are so many things that need to get done, but what people don't necessarily realize is how working to prevent from reinventing the wheel is one of the fastest ways to expedite success at higher and higher levels of rapidity, where we can actually get more done in less time with more magic and more success, simply by recognizing what people have to offer and bringing them to the table to get things done, which then builds momentum for everything else, provided that we have a strong vision as to what we want to do. For the past little while, we have been working on some internal infrastructure changes to our group in order to strengthen what we're doing and to enhance our reach online. And today, Nick was involved. He actually facilitated this meeting where, because of what Nick has done in conjunction with Leo, we now have the technical ability, and it's being put into place in a way that we haven't before. We're going to have our own autoresponder system. It's not tied to any of the merchant autoresponder systems that are out there. We have our own, essentially what it will amount to a customer or management system where we will, whenever people want to meet with us, they can set their appointments with us. And we have a whole system where we meet with people who approach us to meet with us, where they have to apply for our time. And that's really important because so frequently in the network marketing industry, so many people are taught the old way of running after people, go and chase them and prospect people. Here's what to say. Here's how to say it. Here's when they say this, raise this. If they have this objection, then answer by doing this. It's almost a series of automatic rote instructions, where our approach is to have people come to us and to attract people to us who are like-minded with us. And then if we so choose, we'll spend time with them. They have to tell us ahead of time, do they have money to spend? If they don't, then we won't in that regard. If they have a certain amount of money to spend and they put it down there, when we tell them, hey, it's going to cost X amount, then they can't say, oh, well, I need to find the money kind of thing. It's like, wait, you said in your application, and we really emphasize integrity. And so it's not that people don't have the money to spend necessarily, but it's having the right reason to spend, and when they believe in something, they'll spend the money. And so that has been our approach. And all of this that I'm telling you was not the result of any keen insight on my part. It's literally because of Leo and Nick being on the lookout for people who have the skills that we don't have. I don't know how to build a website. I don't know anything about HTML code except like super basic, like for bold, it's less than sign, B greater than sign. You know, like nothing coding. And so I don't know anything about how to set it up or anything. I don't know. I just have no knowledge about that stuff whatsoever. But Nick and Leo had with intentionality, they were on the lookout for people to help and people who we could trust, because people try to take our money all the time. They claim stuff, and then when we give them money, then they're nowhere to be found. And then I have to run back, and when they act inappropriately, then I have to raise holy heck. And I always win our battles whenever people mistreat us, because I tell people ahead of time, I record your calls, and what I do when I dispute it, I present the recording to the people who I need to present it to reverse a decision of payment or whatever, because they're misleading us. And so I hate operating in that environment. I would rather operate in a place where there are people who I can trust, who we have a team together. So what's happening is we have this online effort that's coming together. And then separately, we're already beginning to look into real estate development. And I already know the person I trust for real estate. I know that there's somebody he trusts to do the upgrades and renovations. There's somebody else who's a great individual who underwrites the loans. and there's a whole methodology to that. So I don't know anything about how that stuff works, but I know who to trust. And then so I bring these different components together, and it just makes life a trillion times easier. They make some money. We make some money. We just repeat the process. And so we're diversifying ultimately there. At the same time, we work on the network marketing front primarily with one company. And then it's just really a ton of fun where we get to spend our days doing what we love, which is just content, leadership development, health and wellness, and so forth. And then in the process of that, like, hey, I want to get involved with that. Oh, what is that? And then so we get people aboard, and then we teach people through their own experience. We bring them on board first as customers. I do not bring people on board as associates unless they plan on building a business. If they say right up front, hey, I want to build a business, great. We bring them on board as associates. If they're like, well, let me try it, and if I like this stuff that you guys have to offer, then I'll build maybe. Well, in those cases, I make them customers, so that we can make some money, because it isn't just, see, so frequently network marketing organizations sell to themselves. They create their own internal universe of people within the company, and they push the products primarily on people who mostly don't sponsor anybody, but at the same time, they're just the targeted market. Like, oh, hey, buy this next product, that kind of thing. If you're like selling to yourselves as a company, and I hate that.
That's one of the biggest.
Well, we want to be able to expand. And so for anybody who wants to get involved with us, I'm like, okay, become a customer of ours. And they if they're on auto-ship, they pay the same price as associates anyway. So they become customers of ours. We get higher money for that up front. And then if later, after 3 or 4 months, they say, you know what, I really love this. I can build this. Great. Or if they never recruit anybody, we still make money from them as customers. But if they say, hey, you know what, I want to build, here are some people, then we can say, great, you want to build, you've already been a customer, look for people who are customers the way you once were. And then because they will have experienced that, then that's the way that they come in, and they learn the culture that way. We don't just, from my team and below, we do not just bring people in to bring people in. Because how many of us bring people in and then practically, when the ink either digitally or literally has dried, they're already inactive. And then they buy products, but then they're not doing anything. So if they're in our downline not doing any retail, then we might as well make money from them as customers if they're not going to build anyway. And the comp plans actually, for all of us, I'm sure, if we bring people in as customers, we actually make more. And sometimes leaders might say, well, you need to bring them in as board as associates because you have to build a team. Well, it's fine. We need to build a team, but we need to build a team the right way, and that entails connecting the dots the way that I've been describing, getting people to come in at the right time for the right reasons. If people say, you know what, I hate network marketing, I do not want to approach people, I'm like, well, fine, don't approach anybody. We don't approach anybody either. And then so they're like, what? You don't approach anybody? Nope. We don't approach anybody. We have them come to us. How do you do that? Then we explain how they do that. And to anyone who's listened to this show over past episodes, they've known we've laid out how exactly to do that. And so then they're like, oh, I want to build that way. Well, great. But in the meantime, become a customer. Come in the same way. And then we make more money. And then once they become an associate, I say, you know what? When one way that will get you to stay, let's help get you at least 1 or 2 customers, just 1 or 2, not 10. Then once you get 2, then get 2 more. But start with a little bit, because if they're getting a small rebate or a small return by people being customers, they're not going to quit because they're getting money coming in. It might be a little at first, but if they're getting money come in, why would they want to quit? They're actually making money from customers. So
I remember the best way, $50.
Yeah, and Nick might as well have been $1 million the way that he was, he's really super excited about it, as he should be, because he's like, wow, this money is from a customer sale. This is great. And then on top of that, when people have that whole thing of them getting money residually every month, every single customer that comes on board on AutoShip, that creates residual income for each and every person, because we don't take people who just come in to buy something one time. There have been people who say, well, I'll try your product for a month. Like, well, if you're going to try it for a month, then don't worry about it at all. I'm willing to try it. I'm like, well, if you're going to try it, you need to try it the right way because it needs time to happen. It will happen. I'm 1,000,000,000% confident that they will benefit from what we have, but they have to do it the right way. If they come in and they expect things to change within the next week or day, it's not going to happen necessarily, although there have been instances, especially with topical stuff, where it happens right away. But we tell people, look, be on the product for 3 months. You have to commit to 3 months. 2 months, nope. A month, nope. 3 months. And to have the posturing to say, look, this is where you need to be. You need to do this for 3 months, and you need to follow as we recommend for it to work. Then it will work. If you don't and it doesn't work, it's not the company's fault, but also it's a matter of making sure to have the posturing to be able to do this. So then we get people involved, and then, I mean, literally, just this last Saturday I talked to somebody, and I wasn't even talking about this business. We were talking about completely other stuff. And he's a guy who's tied to Hollywood. He was friends with all sorts of people whose names I don't really know because I don't follow Hollywood very well, but he's really well tied into that. He was on TV commercials and stuff. And then he just heard my posturing just about life and business. He's like, you know what? With my health, I'll try that. I'm like, what? He's like, yeah, whatever it is that you're doing, you're obviously doing something that's affecting your health for you to have this kind of energy at like 2 a.m. There's something, whatever it is that you're doing, I want to try it. I'm like, you'll have to do it for 3 months. He's like, done. Tell me where to get it. I'll get it. He didn't even know what it was. He's like, but I'm in. I'll get it. I'm like, it's hundreds of dollars. He's like, so then it'll be worth hundreds of dollars because you're obviously doing it. And the cool thing that he said was, I trust you, and you wouldn't be involved with something shady because if you were, then you would. If something were shady, you wouldn't be involved with it. So I'm not worried about that. So send me the information. Let's do it. It was just like that. I wasn't even talking about the company. We were catching up. I haven't spoken with him in a long time. I wasn't even.
So we are in bonus time. Ollie, I'll let you wrap it up.
So we talk every week about how we want you to get involved with us and check in with us, and let's just get to know one another. Let's see what kind of magic we can make. So in closing, we also need to say how much an ally Peter has been from the beginning of this journey that we've had. We've been through all sorts of different things, and he's learned about all this as we've shared it with him, and he's stuck with us the entire time. He's been amazing, and this is completely an unsolicited plug, but I'm telling you, and anyone within the sound of my voice or the sight of what's transcribed or the animated cartoon or whatever it is that we look like with whoever's watching this, Peter is amazing. We love this guy, and we don't get anything. We don't get paid to say that or anything. We love this guy. He's a man of full integrity. He's honest. He tells it like it is. He shares his opinions, no holds barred. And because of his no-nonsense approach, we know that we can trust him, and we have, and we do. So with that, I'll turn over time back to you, Peter, and thank you again for this opportunity as always.
Great information. We love to document your levels of success, and we're going to catch everybody next week on Building Fortunes Radio. You just heard from Ollie Cantos and his son Nick on Building Fortunes Radio. If you go to buildingfortunesradio.com/Ollie, OLLIE, you'll be able to hear this and the previous radio shows. We'll catch everybody next week.
You've been listening to Building Fortunes Radio on buildingfortunesradio.com. Thanks for listening. Be sure to check us out every Friday at 5 p.m. Eastern Time for the designated Building Fortunes Radio segment with Peter Mingils. Be sure to check out the buildingfortunesradio.com website for our featured segments. It's been our privilege to have you listen in. At Building Fortunes Radio, we wish you the success you deserve and are willing to work for. So spread the word, tell a friend, join our newsletter, and go make a difference in your world.